When my husband announced he was leaving me for his 23-year-old assistant on our 15th wedding anniversary, I thought my world had ended. But what happened 6 months later when she abandoned him for his best friend would become the catalyst for the most extraordinary transformation of my life. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to what promises to be one of the most compelling stories of resilience, transformation, and ultimate triumph you will ever encounter. Before we begin this extraordinary journey together, please let me know in the comments where you are watching from around the world, and do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because this story will unfold across multiple parts that will challenge everything you believe about betrayal, recovery, and the incredible power of the human spirit to not just survive but thrive in the face of devastating circumstances. This is the story of Dr. Victoria Ashworth, a woman who discovered that sometimes the most devastating betrayals become the foundation for the most extraordinary personal transformations, and that true strength often emerges not from avoiding pain, but from learning to transform it into purpose, power, and unprecedented success. 5 years ago, if you had walked through the pristine hallways of Ashworth Medical Research Institute in downtown Portland, Oregon, you would have encountered a woman who appeared to embody everything our society defines as success. Dr. Victoria Ashworth, 42 years old at the time, possessed an impressive curriculum vitae that included dual doctoral degrees in biochemistry and molecular medicine from Stanford University, over 60 published research papers in prestigious scientific journals, and recognition as one of the leading researchers in regenerative medicine on the West Coast. Victoria's professional achievements represented the culmination of decades of dedicated study and systematic career development that had established her as a respected authority in her field. Her research laboratory employed 14 full-time scientists and graduate students working on groundbreaking studies related to cellular regeneration and tissue engineering that held promise for revolutionizing treatment approaches for degenerative diseases affecting millions of patients worldwide. The Ashworth Medical Research Institute occupied an entire floor of a prestigious medical complex, featuring state-of-the-art equipment worth several $million and collaborative relationships with major pharmaceutical companies that provided both funding and commercial pathways for bringing innovative treatments from laboratory research to patient applications. Victoria had built this enterprise from a single graduate student research project into a thriving organization that attracted top talent and significant investment capital. Yet beneath this impressive professional exterior existed a personal life that had gradually become characterized by increasing isolation and emotional disconnect that Victoria had learned to rationalize as the inevitable cost of ambitious career development and scientific excellence. Her marriage to Dr. Richard Ashworth, a prominent cardiologist whom she had met during their medical school years at Stanford, had evolved from passionate partnership into a polite but distant arrangement, focused primarily on maintaining appearances and supporting their respective professional obligations. Richard had initially shared Victoria's enthusiasm for scientific research and medical innovation, but his career trajectory had taken him toward clinical practice and administrative leadership rather than laboratory research. He served as chief of cardiology at Portland Metropolitan Hospital, a position that provided substantial income and professional prestige, but demanded extensive administrative responsibilities and political navigation that left little time or energy for the intellectual collaboration that had originally bonded their relationship. Their marriage had settled into a comfortable but emotionally sterile routine, characterized by parallel professional lives that intersected primarily during social events and family obligations. They maintained a beautiful home in the exclusive Laurelhurst neighborhood, complete with carefully landscaped gardens and entertaining spaces that served as the backdrop for professional networking events and charity fundraising activities that supported their respective career advancement objectives. Victoria had convinced herself that this arrangement represented mature relationship management and realistic expectations about balancing demanding careers with personal relationships. She observed other professional couples navigating similar challenges, and concluded that emotional distance was simply the price of maintaining two successful medical careers, while building substantial financial security and professional recognition. However, this rationalization could not entirely suppress her growing awareness that something fundamental was missing from her life, despite achieving virtually every professional objective she had established during her early career development. Her research success provided intellectual satisfaction and financial rewards, but it had not delivered the personal fulfillment and emotional connection that she had expected would naturally accompany professional achievement. Victoria's daily routine had become highly structured and predictable, beginning with early morning laboratory work that often started before sunrise, and extending through evening administrative responsibilities that frequently kept her at the institute until well past normal business hours. Weekends were typically devoted to manuscript preparation, conference presentations, and grant proposal development that ensured continued funding for her research activities. This intensive professional focus had gradually displaced personal interests and relationships that had once provided balance and emotional nourishment in Victoria's life. She rarely engaged in recreational activities unrelated to her career, had lost touch with friends from her graduate school years, and had postponed or abandoned personal interests such as classical piano performance and landscape photography that had once brought her considerable joy and creative expression. The isolation was subtle but pervasive, manifesting in ways that Victoria had learned to dismiss as temporary inconveniences, rather than recognizing them as symptoms of deeper imbalance in her life priorities and relationship investments. She ate most meals alone in her laboratory office, spent holidays working on research projects rather than engaging in personal activities, and found herself increasingly uncomfortable in social situations that did not revolve around professional networking or scientific discussion. Richard's emotional distance had become so normalized that Victoria barely noticed when their conversations became limited to logistical coordination about schedules and household management, rather than meaningful personal communication about their individual experiences, concerns, or aspirations. They functioned more like professional colleagues sharing office space than like married partners building a life together through shared values and mutual support. This emotional disconnection had developed so gradually that Victoria had not recognized its severity until circumstances forced her to confront the reality that their marriage existed primarily as a legal and financial arrangement, rather than as an intimate partnership, characterized by emotional intimacy, mutual understanding, and shared vision for their future together. The warning signs had been present for months before the devastating revelation that would shatter Victoria's assumptions about her marriage and force her to confront fundamental questions about her life priorities and personal fulfillment. Richard had become increasingly absent from home, citing demanding patient schedules and administrative responsibilities that required extended hours and frequent travel to medical conferences and professional development activities. His communication patterns had shifted from brief but regular check-ins about daily schedules to longer periods of silence interrupted by perfunctory text messages about logistics and scheduling changes. When they did interact directly, Richard seemed distracted and impatient, as though their conversations were interrupting more important activities or considerations that demanded his attention and emotional energy. Victoria had initially attributed these changes to temporary professional pressures and increased responsibilities associated with Richard's recent promotion to department chief, which had indeed expanded his administrative obligations and political challenges within the hospital hierarchy. She had experienced similar periods of intense professional focus during her own career development and understood how ambitious career objectives could temporarily overshadow personal relationship maintenance. However, the changes in Richard's behavior had persisted and intensified beyond what could reasonably be explained by professional demands alone. He had begun making unexplained changes to their social commitments, declining invitations to events they had previously attended together and expressing disinterest in activities that had once provided mutual enjoyment and shared experiences. More significantly, Richard had started displaying unusual concern about his physical appearance and personal style that seemed inconsistent with his previous attitudes about such matters. He had begun working with a personal trainer, updated his wardrobe with more fashionable clothing selections, and started using skincare products and grooming techniques that represented substantial departures from his historically practical approach to personal maintenance. These changes might have been interpreted as positive developments toward greater self-care and personal attention, but they occurred in the context of increasing emotional distance and reduced communication that created an overall pattern suggesting that Richard's attention and energy were being directed toward objectives and relationships outside their marriage, rather than toward strengthening their partnership. Victoria's scientific training had taught her to observe patterns and analyze data objectively, but she found herself reluctant to apply this analytical approach to her personal relationship because the emerging evidence suggested conclusions that she was not prepared to confront or address. Her tendency to rationalize concerning developments reflected both her conflict avoidance preferences and her investment in maintaining the stable professional and social arrangements that their marriage provided. The truth would eventually emerge in the most painful way possible, but the months leading up to that revelation provided Victoria with opportunities for reflection and self-assessment that would later prove crucial for her recovery and transformation process. During this period of growing awareness that something fundamental was wrong in her marriage, Victoria began questioning other aspects of her life that she had previously accepted without examination. She started recognizing that her intense professional focus had created isolation not just from Richard, but from all meaningful personal relationships and activities that could provide emotional support and personal fulfillment independent of career achievements. Her identity had become so thoroughly intertwined with her professional success that she had lost touch with other aspects of herself that might contribute to a more balanced and satisfying life experience. This growing self-awareness would later enable Victoria to transform the devastating betrayal that was approaching into an opportunity for comprehensive life reassessment and strategic redirection toward objectives that aligned more authentically with her deepest values and aspirations. The professional success that she had achieved provided a strong foundation for this transformation, but it would require fundamental changes in her approach to relationships, personal priorities, and life balance. The motivational foundation underlying Victoria's story begins with the recognition that even the most successful and accomplished individuals can find themselves in circumstances that require dramatic reassessment and strategic redirection to achieve authentic fulfillment and meaningful personal satisfaction. Professional achievement alone cannot provide complete life satisfaction when it comes at the cost of emotional connection and personal relationship development. Victoria's initial circumstances demonstrate how gradual compromises and incremental adjustments can lead to significant life imbalances that become apparent only when external circumstances force honest evaluation of current reality versus desired outcomes. Her story illustrates the importance of maintaining conscious attention to all aspects of life satisfaction, rather than assuming that success in one area will automatically generate fulfillment in others. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The transformation that Victoria would eventually achieve required courage to confront painful truths about her marriage and personal life, while maintaining commitment to her professional responsibilities and career objectives. Her journey demonstrates how devastating personal setbacks can become catalysts for positive change when approached with systematic analysis and strategic planning, rather than simple emotional reaction. As we conclude this first part of Victoria's extraordinary journey, consider how her initial circumstances might reflect patterns in your own life, where professional success or external achievements have been prioritized at the expense of personal relationships and emotional fulfillment. Victoria's story reminds us that true success requires balance and integration across all aspects of life, rather than excellence in isolated areas. The devastating revelation that awaited Victoria would test her resilience and force her to develop new capabilities and perspectives that would ultimately enable her to create a more satisfying and authentic life than she had ever previously imagined possible. Her journey from successful but isolated professional to fulfilled and empowered individual provides a roadmap for transformation that can inspire and guide others facing similar challenges and opportunities. In our next installment, we will explore the specific events that shattered Victoria's assumptions about her marriage and forced her to confront the reality that her apparently stable life was built on foundations that were far more fragile than she had ever realized. We will witness how she began to recognize the patterns and warning signs that had been present but ignored, and how this recognition became the first step toward the extraordinary transformation that would follow. The transformation of Dr. Victoria Ashworth from accomplished but emotionally isolated professional to empowered and strategically aware individual began not with dramatic revelation, but with the subtle development of observational skills that her scientific training had prepared her to apply beyond laboratory research. During the months preceding the devastating discovery that would reshape her understanding of her marriage and personal circumstances, Victoria unconsciously began employing systematic observation techniques that would later prove crucial for her recovery and strategic advancement. Victoria's scientific background had developed her natural analytical capabilities into sophisticated pattern recognition skills that enabled her to identify meaningful connections and emerging trends within complex datasets. These same capabilities, when applied to her personal environment, began revealing disturbing patterns in Richard's behavior and their relationship dynamics that suggested fundamental changes occurring beneath the surface of their apparently stable marriage. The process of systematic observation began organically, as Victoria noticed inconsistencies between Richard's stated activities and the evidence she encountered in their shared living environment. Medical professionals develop acute attention to detail through their training and clinical practice, and Victoria found herself unconsciously applying this same analytical rigor to discrepancies she observed in Richard's explanations about his schedule changes and professional obligations. Initial observations centered on relatively minor inconsistencies that could easily be dismissed as innocent mistakes or simple miscommunication. Richard would mention attending evening medical conferences that Victoria later discovered had been scheduled for different dates or locations than he had indicated. His explanations about working late at the hospital occasionally conflicted with information she received from colleagues who had observed him leaving the medical complex at normal hours. These individual discrepancies might have been attributed to the stress and confusion associated with Richard's increased administrative responsibilities. But Victoria's systematic approach to observation revealed patterns that suggested more deliberate misrepresentation rather than simple scheduling confusion or memory lapses. The frequency and specificity of these inconsistencies exceeded what could reasonably be explained by increased professional demands alone. Victoria's documentation approach reflected her scientific training in systematic data collection and analysis. She began maintaining private notes about Richard's stated activities and comparing them with observable evidence and information from other sources. This documentation was not initially intended as investigation of suspicious behavior, but rather as an attempt to understand the source of her growing sense that something fundamental had changed in their relationship dynamic. The evidence gathering expanded beyond simple schedule verification to include analysis of behavioral patterns that suggested significant shifts in Richard's priorities and emotional investments. His communication style had evolved from brief but warm personal interactions to purely functional exchanges focused on logistical coordination without emotional content or personal interest in Victoria's experiences and concerns. More significantly, Richard had begun displaying unusual attention to personal appearance and social activities that seemed inconsistent with his historical preferences and lifestyle patterns. His sudden interest in fitness training, fashion updates, and social media engagement represented substantial departures from previous behavior that suggested external influences or motivations beyond simple personal development initiatives. Victoria observed that Richard's new interests and activities consistently excluded her participation or involvement, despite their previous pattern of shared recreational activities and mutual consultation about significant personal decisions. His independence in these areas might have been interpreted positively as personal growth and development, but the complete exclusion of spousal input or participation suggested priorities that did not include strengthening their marital relationship. The systematic analysis revealed concerning patterns in Richard's technology usage and communication habits that provided additional evidence of significant changes in his personal and professional relationships. His previous openness about email correspondence and telephone communications had shifted to protective behaviors around his devices and private communication channels that suggested confidential relationships requiring concealment from his spouse. Victoria's scientific training included expertise in behavioral analysis and pattern recognition that enabled her to identify meaningful changes in Richard's emotional expressions and interpersonal interactions. His previously comfortable and affectionate demeanor toward her had gradually transformed into polite but distant formality that resembled professional courtesy rather than intimate spousal relationship dynamics. These behavioral observations were supported by physical evidence that accumulated gradually but consistently over several months. Victoria discovered unfamiliar receipts for restaurants and entertainment venues that Richard had not mentioned visiting, along with credit card charges for purchases that seemed inconsistent with his stated activities and professional obligations. The evidence suggested that Richard was maintaining parallel social and recreational activities that he deliberately concealed from Victoria, rather than simply expanding his individual interests or professional networking activities. The systematic nature of this concealment indicated intentional deception, rather than innocent privacy preferences or scheduling oversights. Victoria's approach to processing this disturbing information reflected both her scientific training and her personal conflict avoidance tendencies. Rather than confronting Richard directly about the inconsistencies she had documented, she continued systematic observation and analysis in an attempt to develop comprehensive understanding of the situation before determining appropriate response strategies. This analytical approach provided Victoria with extensive preparation for the ultimate revelation that awaited her, but it also enabled her to maintain emotional equilibrium during a period of growing uncertainty and relationship instability. Her systematic documentation of concerning patterns created objective foundation for understanding the scope and nature of changes in her marriage rather than relying solely on emotional impressions or instinctive concerns. The observation process also revealed important information about Victoria's own responses to relationship stress and uncertainty that would later prove valuable for her personal development and recovery planning. She discovered that her tendency to intellectualize emotional challenges could provide both protection and limitation in addressing interpersonal difficulties that required direct communication and emotional authenticity. Victoria's systematic analysis extended beyond Richard's behavior to include examination of their relationship history and identification of earlier warning signs that she had previously dismissed or rationalized as temporary challenges or normal relationship evolution. This retrospective analysis revealed that the current concerning patterns represented acceleration of gradual changes that had been occurring over several years rather than sudden developments without historical precedent. The historical analysis provided Victoria with valuable insights about her own contribution to relationship deterioration through emotional withdrawal and excessive professional focus that had created distance and reduced intimate communication between them. While this recognition did not excuse Richard's deceptive behavior, it enabled Victoria to understand how their mutual disconnection had created vulnerability to external relationship threats. More importantly, this self-analysis began the process of personal accountability and strategic planning for future relationship development that would prove essential for Victoria's eventual transformation and empowerment. Her systematic approach to understanding both Richard's behavior and her own responses provided foundation for comprehensive life assessment and strategic redirection toward more authentic and fulfilling personal objectives. The motivational foundation emerging from Victoria's systematic observation process centers on the power of analytical thinking and objective assessment in addressing complex personal challenges that might otherwise generate overwhelming emotional reactions or paralyzing uncertainty. Her scientific training provided tools for managing difficult circumstances through systematic analysis rather than emotional reactivity. Victoria's approach demonstrates how professional skills and intellectual capabilities can be applied effectively to personal relationship challenges, when combined with honest self-assessment and willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about both individual behavior and relationship dynamics. Her systematic documentation enabled evidence-based decision-making rather than emotional reaction to disturbing developments. The observation period also illustrated the importance of maintaining perspective and emotional regulation during periods of uncertainty and relationship instability. Victoria's ability to continue her professional responsibilities while processing complex personal challenges demonstrated resilience and compartmentalization skills that would prove essential for her eventual recovery and transformation. Her systematic approach to understanding relationship deterioration provided valuable preparation for the devastating revelation that awaited her, while building confidence in her analytical capabilities and strategic thinking skills that would enable effective response to crisis situations requiring decisive action and strategic planning. The broader implications of Victoria's observation process extend to fundamental principles about recognizing and responding to relationship challenges before they escalate to crisis levels that require dramatic intervention or recovery efforts. Her systematic analysis revealed that many relationship problems develop gradually through accumulated small changes rather than sudden dramatic shifts that demand immediate attention. Victoria's story during this phase demonstrates how intellectual capabilities and professional skills can provide valuable resources for addressing personal challenges when applied systematically and combined with emotional awareness and honest self-assessment. Her scientific training enabled objective analysis of complex interpersonal dynamics that might otherwise generate confusion or overwhelming emotional reactions. The systematic documentation approach also provided Victoria with comprehensive understanding of the scope and nature of relationship changes that would later enable her to develop effective recovery strategies and personal development objectives based on realistic assessment of both challenges and opportunities for positive change and growth. Victoria's experience illustrates how periods of relationship uncertainty and instability can provide opportunities for personal development and strategic planning that strengthen individual capabilities and prepare for various potential outcomes, including relationship recovery, transition, or independent advancement toward more fulfilling personal objectives. The observation process revealed that Victoria possessed analytical and strategic thinking capabilities that extended far beyond her professional expertise to include sophisticated understanding of human behavior and relationship dynamics that would prove valuable for future personal and professional development opportunities, requiring interpersonal effectiveness and strategic communication skills. As Victoria's systematic observation continued, she began recognizing that the evidence she had accumulated suggested not merely temporary relationship challenges requiring communication and adjustment, but fundamental changes in Richard's priorities and commitments that might require comprehensive reassessment of their marriage and her personal objectives for their shared future. The analytical foundation that Victoria developed during this observation period would prove invaluable when the ultimate revelation finally emerged, and she was forced to confront the reality that her marriage was ending, and she needed to develop strategic response plans for protecting her interests and advancing toward more authentic and fulfilling personal objectives that aligned with her deepest values and aspirations. Victoria's systematic approach to processing relationship deterioration demonstrates how analytical thinking and strategic planning can transform potentially devastating personal setbacks into opportunities for growth and empowerment, when combined with honest self-assessment and commitment to evidence-based decision-making, rather than emotional reactivity or denial of uncomfortable realities. In our next installment, we will witness the specific catalyst moment when Victoria's systematic observations culminated in undeniable confrontation with the truth about Richard's deception, and the complete transformation of her understanding about their marriage, setting the stage for the extraordinary recovery and empowerment journey that would follow this devastating but ultimately liberating revelation. The revelation that would forever alter Dr. Victoria Ashworth's understanding of her marriage and catalyze her transformation from isolated professional to empowered individual, arrived on their 15th wedding anniversary in the most unexpected and devastating manner possible. The timing of this disclosure demonstrated either Richard's complete insensitivity to symbolic significance, or his deliberate intention to maximize emotional impact through calculated cruelty that would forever associate their anniversary date with betrayal rather than celebration. Victoria had spent considerable effort planning an intimate anniversary celebration that would acknowledge the milestone of their marriage, while attempting to reconnect with Richard on a personal level that transcended their recent pattern of polite but distant coexistence. She had made reservations at the exclusive restaurant where they had celebrated their engagement 15 years earlier, arranged for a weekend retreat at a coastal resort that held special meaning from their early relationship, and prepared a thoughtful gift that reflected her understanding of Richard's interests and professional achievements. The preparation for their anniversary celebration represented Victoria's conscious effort to address the growing emotional distance she had observed in their relationship. Through deliberate investment in romantic gesture and quality time together, without the distractions of professional responsibilities and daily logistics that had dominated their recent interactions. She approached this anniversary as an opportunity for relationship renewal and deeper communication about their shared future objectives and personal priorities. Richard's response to Victoria's anniversary planning efforts had been characteristically polite but lukewarm, expressing appreciation for her thoughtfulness, while maintaining the emotional distance that had become his standard approach to their personal interactions. He had agreed to the dinner reservation and weekend plans without enthusiasm or reciprocal gesture preparation, treating the celebration as an obligation to be managed rather than an opportunity to be embraced. The anniversary dinner began with stilted conversation and uncomfortable silences that reflected the broader deterioration in their communication patterns that Victoria had been observing and documenting over recent months. Richard appeared distracted and impatient throughout the meal, frequently checking his phone and responding to messages that he characterized as urgent professional communications requiring immediate attention despite the special occasion. Victoria attempted to engage Richard in meaningful conversation about their relationship history, shared memories, and future plans that might restore some emotional connection and intimate communication between them. However, his responses remained superficial and deflecting, avoiding personal disclosure or emotional engagement while maintaining polite but distant courtesy that felt more appropriate for professional networking than intimate spousal conversation. The devastating revelation occurred during dessert when Richard's phone buzzed with an incoming text message that he immediately opened and read, with visible emotional reaction that represented the most authentic expression Victoria had observed from him throughout the entire evening. His face transformed from polite disinterest to genuine warmth and affection as he read the message, creating a stark contrast with his mechanical engagement in their anniversary conversation. Victoria's scientific training in behavioral observation enabled her to recognize immediately that Richard's emotional response to the text message revealed genuine feelings and authentic engagement that had been completely absent from his interactions with her throughout their anniversary dinner. The intensity and warmth of his reaction suggested intimate communication with someone who generated emotional responses that their marriage apparently no longer provided. When Victoria inquired about the message that had produced such noticeable emotional transformation, Richard's response revealed the calculated nature of his deception and the extent of his disrespect for their marriage and her intelligence. Rather than offering honest explanation or attempting to deflect suspicion tactfully, Richard chose to present the truth with brutal directness that suggested either complete emotional disconnection from Victoria's feelings or deliberate intention to inflict maximum psychological damage. Richard informed Victoria that the message had been sent by Jessica Martinez, his 23-year-old research assistant at Portland Metropolitan Hospital, with whom he had been conducting an intimate relationship for approximately 8 months. He explained that Jessica was expressing excitement about their upcoming weekend trip to Vancouver, which would occur during the same dates that Victoria had planned for their anniversary retreat at the coastal resort. The revelation continued with Richard's announcement that he had been planning to request a divorce for several months but had delayed the conversation until after their anniversary dinner out of consideration for the symbolic significance of the date. His explanation suggested that he viewed this timing as thoughtful courtesy, rather than recognizing it as particularly cruel and psychologically damaging approach to ending their 15-year marriage. Richard's presentation of this devastating information demonstrated complete absence of emotional awareness or empathy regarding the impact of his disclosure on Victoria's psychological well-being and sense of personal security. His matter-of-fact delivery suggested that he had already emotionally divorced himself from their relationship and viewed Victoria as an obstacle to be managed rather than a person deserving honest communication and respectful treatment. The details that emerged during Richard's explanation revealed the systematic nature of his deception and the extent of his investment in an alternative relationship that had been developing parallel to their marriage for a substantial period. Jessica Martinez had been hired as Richard's research assistant 6 months before their intimate relationship began, suggesting either predatory professional behavior or calculated targeting of vulnerable subordinate employee for personal gratification. Richard's description of his relationship with Jessica emphasized her youth, enthusiasm, and admiration for his professional achievements in ways that suggested he was seeking validation and ego gratification that he believed Victoria no longer provided, due to her own professional success and independence. His comparison between Jessica's appreciative attitude and Victoria's supposedly demanding expectations revealed both his insecurity about their equal professional status and his preference for relationships characterized by power imbalance rather than mutual respect. The revelation also included Richard's explanation that Jessica shared his interest in travel, social activities, and recreational pursuits that he claimed Victoria had neglected due to her excessive focus on research and professional advancement. This characterization attempted to shift responsibility for their relationship deterioration to Victoria's professional dedication, while ignoring his own career obsessions and emotional withdrawal that had contributed equally to their marital disconnection. Victoria's immediate response to Richard's devastating disclosure demonstrated the emotional resilience and analytical thinking capabilities that would enable her eventual transformation and empowerment. Rather than reacting with hysteria or emotional breakdown that Richard may have expected or preferred, Victoria maintained composure and began systematic assessment of the practical implications of his revelation for her personal and professional circumstances. Her scientific training provided frameworks for processing complex and emotionally challenging information through systematic analysis, rather than overwhelming emotional reaction. Victoria recognized immediately that Richard's disclosure represented not merely relationship crisis requiring communication and counseling, but fundamental betrayal that necessitated strategic planning for divorce proceedings and comprehensive life reorganization. The immediate practical considerations included protection of her financial assets, evaluation of their joint professional investments and property holdings, assessment of potential impact on her research institute and professional reputation, and development of legal representation adequate for managing complex divorce proceedings involving substantial assets and professional considerations. Victoria's response also included recognition that Richard's systematic deception and calculated timing of his disclosure revealed character deficiencies that extended beyond simple marital dissatisfaction to include fundamental dishonesty and manipulative behavior that would likely influence his approach to divorce negotiations and asset division. This understanding enabled her to begin strategic planning for protecting her interests against potentially aggressive or deceptive tactics. The catalyst moment also provided Victoria with crucial insight about her own resilience and analytical capabilities under extreme emotional stress that would prove valuable throughout her subsequent transformation journey. Her ability to maintain rational thinking and strategic planning despite devastating personal betrayal demonstrated inner strength and intellectual resources that she had not previously tested in crisis situations. More importantly, Richard's revelation began Victoria's process of recognizing how extensively she had compromised her authentic self and personal fulfillment in service of maintaining a marriage that provided security and social status, but lacked genuine emotional intimacy and mutual respect. His preference for a much younger woman who admired rather than challenged him revealed fundamental incompatibility that had been masked by their parallel professional success and shared social status. The devastating disclosure also enabled Victoria to understand retrospectively that many of the relationship challenges she had attempted to address through improved communication and increased effort had actually resulted from Richard's emotional investment in an alternative relationship rather than temporary professional stress or personal development phases that could be resolved through marital counseling or renewed commitment. This recognition freed Victoria from responsibility for relationship problems that were not primarily caused by her behavior or attitudes, but rather by Richard's deliberate choice to pursue emotional and physical intimacy outside their marriage, while maintaining deceptive appearance of commitment to their partnership. The clarity of this understanding would prove essential for her recovery and future relationship development. The catalyst moment revealed that Victoria's systematic observation and documentation during previous months had accurately identified genuine threats to their marriage, rather than reflecting paranoid suspicion or unrealistic expectations about relationship maintenance. Her analytical instincts had correctly detected deception and emotional withdrawal that required serious response rather than patience and accommodation. The timing and manner of Richard's disclosure demonstrated such profound disrespect and emotional cruelty that Victoria immediately understood their marriage could not be salvaged through counseling or renewed effort, regardless of her personal investment in their shared history and professional partnership. This recognition enabled her to begin strategic planning for divorce and independent life development without wasting emotional energy on futile reconciliation attempts. Victoria's response to the catalyst moment established the foundation for her subsequent transformation by demonstrating that she possessed intellectual and emotional resources adequate for managing crisis situations and developing strategic responses to complex challenges requiring decisive action and comprehensive planning. Her composure and analytical thinking under extreme stress revealed capabilities that would enable extraordinary personal development and professional advancement. The revelation also began Victoria's process of understanding how professional success and social status could mask fundamental relationship dysfunction and personal unfulfillment that required honest assessment and strategic redirection toward more authentic life objectives. Richard's betrayal forced her to confront questions about her own values and priorities that she had avoided during years of comfortable but emotionally sterile marriage. As Victoria processed the full implications of Richard's devastating disclosure, she began recognizing that this apparent catastrophe might actually represent liberation from relationship constraints that had limited her personal growth and authentic self-expression. The forced dissolution of their marriage would require her to develop independence and strategic planning skills that could enable more fulfilling personal and professional development than had been possible within their restrictive partnership dynamic. The catalyst moment marked the definitive end of Victoria's old life and the beginning of a transformation journey that would ultimately enable her to achieve levels of personal fulfillment and professional success that exceeded anything she had previously considered possible. Richard's betrayal would prove to be the foundation for extraordinary personal empowerment and strategic advancement that transformed apparent devastation into unprecedented opportunity for growth and authentic achievement. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's transformation from devastated spouse to strategic architect of her own recovery began within hours of Richard's anniversary revelation, demonstrating how extraordinary circumstances can catalyze rapid development of capabilities that might otherwise remain dormant for years. The systematic approach Victoria employed in responding to this personal crisis revealed leadership qualities and strategic thinking abilities that would fundamentally reshape both her professional trajectory and personal empowerment throughout the challenging months that followed. The immediate aftermath of Richard's disclosure required Victoria to navigate complex emotional terrain while simultaneously addressing urgent practical considerations that could significantly impact her long-term financial security and professional standing. Her ability to compartmentalize emotional processing while engaging in rational strategic planning demonstrated resilience and intellectual discipline that exceeded even her own previous understanding of her capabilities under extreme stress. Victoria's first strategic decision involved maintaining absolute confidentiality about the marriage dissolution until she could secure appropriate legal representation and develop comprehensive understanding of her rights and options regarding asset division, professional property ownership, and potential impact on her research institute operations. This discipline prevented impulsive communications that might compromise her negotiating position or create unnecessary complications during subsequent legal proceedings. The complexity of their financial arrangements required sophisticated legal expertise that extended beyond traditional divorce representation to include intellectual property considerations, business valuation methodologies, and tax implications of asset division strategies. Victoria recognized that her research institute represented substantial value that required protection through careful legal structuring and strategic negotiation, rather than emotional compromise or hasty settlement agreements. Victoria's systematic approach to legal preparation included comprehensive documentation of all marital assets, individual professional achievements, and separate property claims that could influence settlement negotiations. Her scientific training in meticulous record-keeping provided significant advantages in organizing financial information and establishing clear evidence for asset classification and valuation disputes that commonly arise during complex divorce proceedings. The Research Institute presented particularly complex considerations because Victoria had established and developed the organization during her marriage, using a combination of personal expertise, individual professional reputation, and shared financial resources that created ambiguous ownership questions requiring careful legal analysis and strategic positioning. Her ability to demonstrate individual contribution and intellectual property ownership would prove crucial for maintaining control of her professional legacy. Victoria also recognized that Richard's position as department chief at Portland Metropolitan Hospital created potential conflicts of interest and professional complications that required careful management to protect her research institute's collaborative relationships and funding sources from retaliation or interference motivated by personal animosity rather than professional considerations. The strategic planning process revealed that Victoria possessed comprehensive understanding of complex business operations and financial management that extended far beyond her research expertise to include sophisticated knowledge of organizational development, market positioning, and competitive analysis that would prove valuable throughout her recovery and subsequent professional advancement. Her approach to crisis management demonstrated remarkable emotional intelligence and strategic patience that enabled her to process devastating personal betrayal while maintaining focus on long-term objectives and practical considerations that would determine her future security and professional success. This balance between emotional processing and strategic action became the foundation for her extraordinary transformation journey. Victoria's legal team selection process reflected her systematic approach to professional service evaluation and relationship development. Rather than accepting referrals from mutual acquaintances who might have divided loyalties or potential conflicts of interest, Victoria conducted independent research to identify attorneys with specific expertise in complex divorce cases involving substantial assets and professional considerations. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's transformation from devastated spouse to strategic architect of her own recovery began within hours of Richard's anniversary revelation, demonstrating how extraordinary circumstances can catalyze rapid development of capabilities that might otherwise remain dormant for years. The systematic approach Victoria employed in responding to this personal crisis revealed leadership qualities and strategic thinking abilities that would fundamentally reshape both her professional trajectory and personal empowerment throughout the challenging months that followed. The immediate aftermath of Richard's disclosure required Victoria to navigate complex emotional terrain while simultaneously addressing urgent practical considerations that could significantly impact her long-term financial security and professional standing. Her ability to compartmentalize emotional processing while engaging in rational strategic planning demonstrated resilience and intellectual discipline that exceeded even her own previous understanding of her capabilities under extreme stress. Victoria's first strategic decision involved maintaining absolute confidentiality about the marriage dissolution until she could secure appropriate legal representation and develop comprehensive understanding of her rights and options regarding asset division, professional property ownership, and potential impact on her research institute operations. This discipline prevented impulsive communications that might compromise her negotiating position or create unnecessary complications during subsequent legal proceedings. The complexity of their financial arrangements required sophisticated legal expertise that extended beyond traditional divorce representation to include intellectual property considerations, business valuation methodologies, and tax implications of asset division strategies. Victoria recognized that her research institute represented substantial value that required protection through careful legal structuring and strategic negotiation, rather than emotional compromise or hasty settlement agreements. Victoria's systematic approach to legal preparation included comprehensive documentation of all marital assets, individual professional achievements, and separate property claims that could influence settlement negotiations. Her scientific training in meticulous record-keeping provided significant advantages in organizing financial information and establishing clear evidence for asset classification and valuation disputes that commonly arise during complex divorce proceedings. The Research Institute presented particularly complex considerations because Victoria had established and developed the organization during her marriage, using combination of personal expertise, individual professional reputation, and shared financial resources that created ambiguous ownership questions requiring careful legal analysis and strategic positioning. Her ability to demonstrate individual contribution and intellectual property ownership would prove crucial for maintaining control of her professional legacy. Victoria also recognized that Richard's position as department chief at Portland Metropolitan Hospital created potential conflicts of interest and professional complications that required careful management to protect her research institute's collaborative relationships and funding sources from retaliation or interference motivated by personal animosity rather than professional considerations. The strategic planning process revealed that Victoria possessed comprehensive understanding of complex business operations and financial management that extended far beyond her research expertise to include sophisticated knowledge of organizational development, market positioning, and competitive analysis that would prove valuable throughout her recovery and subsequent professional advancement. Her approach to crisis management demonstrated remarkable emotional intelligence and strategic patience that enabled her to process devastating personal betrayal while maintaining focus on long-term objectives and practical considerations that would determine her future security and professional success. This balance between emotional processing and strategic action became the foundation for her extraordinary transformation journey. Victoria's legal team selection process reflected her systematic approach to professional service evaluation and relationship development. Rather than accepting referrals from mutual acquaintances who might have divided loyalties or potential conflicts of interest, Victoria conducted independent research to identify attorneys with specific expertise in complex divorce cases involving substantial assets and professional considerations. The attorney she ultimately selected, Margaret Chen of Chen & Associates, possessed extensive experience in high-asset divorce cases involving medical professionals and brought particular expertise in intellectual property valuation and business asset protection that directly addressed Victoria's most significant concerns about preserving her research institute and professional independence. Margaret's initial assessment of Victoria's situation provided both reassurance about her strong legal position and realistic expectations about the complexity and duration of proceedings required to achieve optimal outcomes. The attorney's straightforward communication style and evidence-based approach to case strategy aligned well with Victoria's preference for systematic analysis and objective evaluation, rather than emotional manipulation or adversarial posturing. The legal strategy development process revealed that Victoria's systematic documentation of Richard's deceptive behavior and her comprehensive understanding of their financial arrangements provided significant advantages in establishing favorable settlement terms and protecting her most important assets from disputed ownership claims or punitive division strategies. Victoria's parallel emotional support system development demonstrated equal strategic sophistication in recognizing that personal recovery required professional counseling assistance combined with carefully selected personal relationships that could provide ongoing support without creating obligations or complications that might interfere with her legal proceedings or professional responsibilities. The therapist Victoria selected, Dr. Sarah Williams, specialized in helping high-achieving professionals navigate life transitions and relationship dissolution while maintaining career focus and professional effectiveness. Dr. Williams' approach emphasized practical coping strategies and strategic life planning, rather than extended emotional processing that might interfere with Victoria's immediate needs for decisive action and strategic implementation. The therapeutic relationship enabled Victoria to process the betrayal trauma while developing enhanced self-awareness about relationship patterns and personal priorities that had contributed to her marriage's emotional distance. This insight proved valuable not only for immediate recovery but also for future relationship development and personal fulfillment planning that would guide her subsequent life decisions. Victoria's approach to maintaining professional effectiveness during personal crisis demonstrated remarkable compartmentalization abilities that protected her research institute operations from disruption while enabling her to continue building her scientific reputation and expanding her professional network during the divorce proceedings. This consistency prevented colleagues and collaborators from perceiving weakness or instability that might compromise future opportunities. The research projects under Victoria's supervision continued advancing toward publication and commercial development milestones that would enhance her professional standing and financial independence regardless of divorce settlement outcomes. Her ability to maintain scientific productivity during extreme personal stress demonstrated exceptional focus and professional discipline that impressed colleagues and strengthened her reputation for reliability under pressure. Victoria's strategic communication approach regarding her marriage dissolution balanced necessary disclosure with professional boundary maintenance that protected both her privacy and her business relationships from unnecessary complications or gossip that might interfere with ongoing research collaborations and funding relationships. The careful management of information disclosure enabled Victoria to maintain professional relationships and institutional support, while avoiding premature revelation of personal circumstances that might generate unwanted advice, interference, or speculation about her emotional stability and professional judgment during a vulnerable transition period. Victoria's financial independence assessment revealed that her research institute generated sufficient revenue to support comfortable lifestyle maintenance without dependence on marital assets or spousal support arrangements. This discovery provided tremendous psychological relief and strategic advantage in divorce negotiations by eliminating desperation or financial pressure that might force unfavorable settlement acceptance. The financial analysis also revealed that Victoria's individual professional achievements and asset accumulation exceeded Richard's contributions to their shared wealth, creating strong legal foundation for asset protection and favorable settlement terms that would enable her to maintain her current lifestyle while building enhanced financial security through continued professional success. Victoria's strategic thinking during this crisis period extended beyond immediate divorce considerations to comprehensive life planning that would enable her to build more fulfilling personal and professional existence than had been possible within the constraints of her emotionally distant marriage. The forced independence provided opportunities for authentic self-expression and goal pursuit that marriage obligations had previously limited. The discovery that she possessed capabilities for independent strategic planning and crisis management that exceeded her previous self-concept provided foundation for enhanced confidence and expanded professional ambitions that would drive significant career advancement and personal development throughout the subsequent months and years. Victoria's systematic approach to divorce proceedings demonstrated leadership qualities and strategic sophistication that attracted attention from professional colleagues and legal advisors, who recognized her exceptional competence in managing complex situations, requiring both analytical rigor and emotional resilience under extreme pressure. The respect and admiration Victoria earned through her handling of the divorce crisis enhanced her professional reputation and expanded her network of influential contacts, who would later provide opportunities for career advancement and collaborative relationships that exceeded anything available during her marriage period. Victoria's recognition that Richard's betrayal had actually liberated her from relationship constraints that limited her authentic self-expression enabled her to begin exploring personal interests and professional opportunities that she had previously avoided due to marriage obligations or spousal expectations about appropriate behavior and priorities. The freedom to make independent decisions about her time allocation, social activities, and professional commitments provided immediate improvement in life satisfaction and personal fulfillment that demonstrated how extensively her marriage had restricted her natural personality and authentic preferences. Victoria's strategic response to the marriage crisis established patterns of systematic analysis and decisive action that would characterize her approach to subsequent challenges and opportunities throughout her transformation journey. The competence and confidence she developed during this difficult period provided foundation for extraordinary personal and professional advancement that would ultimately exceed her most optimistic expectations about post-divorce possibilities. The crisis management experience also revealed that Victoria possessed natural leadership abilities and strategic thinking capabilities that could be applied successfully to challenges far beyond her research expertise, opening possibilities for expanded professional roles and entrepreneurial ventures that would diversify her career portfolio and enhance her long-term financial security. As Victoria completed the initial phase of her strategic response to Richard's betrayal, she began recognizing that the apparent catastrophe had actually provided the catalyst for personal transformation and professional development that would enable her to achieve levels of success and fulfillment that had been impossible within her previous life structure. The devastating revelation was becoming the foundation for unprecedented opportunity and empowerment that would define her future trajectory toward authentic achievement and personal satisfaction. The transformation of Dr. Victoria Ashworth, from isolated professional managing personal crisis to strategically positioned leader with expanding influence, accelerated dramatically through an unexpected alliance that emerged from the most unlikely source imaginable. 3 weeks after Richard's devastating anniversary disclosure, Victoria discovered that meaningful support and strategic partnership could develop from circumstances that initially appeared to represent additional complications, rather than opportunities for advancement and empowerment. The alliance began through Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Chief of Oncology at Portland Metropolitan Hospital and one of the most respected medical professionals in the Pacific Northwest region. Elena possessed a distinguished reputation for clinical excellence, research innovation, and administrative leadership that had established her as an influential voice in medical policy development and institutional strategic planning throughout the region. Elena's initial contact with Victoria emerged through their shared professional network rather than personal relationship development. The two women had maintained cordial but limited interaction during various medical conferences and collaborative research meetings over several years, with Elena expressing consistent respect for Victoria's research achievements and innovative approaches to regenerative medicine applications and cancer treatment protocols. The catalyst for their alliance occurred when Elena requested a private meeting to discuss potential research collaboration opportunities that could advance both their professional objectives while addressing significant unmet needs in cancer treatment development. Elena's proposal involved combining her clinical expertise in oncology with Victoria's regenerative medicine research to develop breakthrough therapies for cancer patients suffering from treatment-related tissue damage and organ dysfunction. During their initial collaboration discussion, Elena revealed that she possessed comprehensive knowledge about Richard's affair with Jessica Martinez and the circumstances surrounding Victoria's marriage dissolution. This revelation initially surprised and concerned Victoria, who had maintained strict confidentiality about her personal situation to protect her professional reputation and avoid workplace complications during the divorce proceedings. Elena's awareness of Victoria's circumstances had developed through her position within the hospital administrative hierarchy, which provided access to information about personnel relationships and potential conflicts of interest that might affect departmental operations and collaborative research initiatives. Elena explained that Richard's relationship with his research assistant had become common knowledge among senior hospital administrators due to concerns about appropriate professional boundaries and potential liability issues. More significantly, Elena revealed that she had been conducting her own informal investigation into Richard's professional conduct and management practices, following complaints from multiple female employees about inappropriate behavior and hostile work environment conditions within his department. Elena's administrative responsibilities included oversight of professional conduct standards and workplace safety protocols that required her attention to persistent patterns of problematic behavior. The information Elena shared with Victoria revealed that Richard's relationship with Jessica Martinez represented only the most recent example of a concerning pattern of inappropriate relationships with subordinate employees that had created ongoing management challenges and potential legal liabilities for the hospital administration. Elena's documentation of these patterns provided context for understanding Richard's behavior toward Victoria as consistent with broader character deficiencies rather than isolated marital difficulties. Elena's decision to share this sensitive information with Victoria reflected both professional courtesy and strategic calculation about potential collaborative opportunities that could benefit both women while addressing institutional problems requiring administrative attention and resolution. Elena recognized that Victoria's expertise and institutional independence provided valuable resources for advancing research objectives while maintaining appropriate professional boundaries. The alliance between Victoria and Elena developed rapidly due to their shared professional values, complementary expertise, and mutual recognition of strategic advantages available through collaboration. Elena's administrative position and institutional influence combined effectively with Victoria's research capabilities and entrepreneurial independence to create partnership opportunities that exceeded either woman's individual capacity for advancement. Elena's proposal for research collaboration included substantial financial backing through grants and institutional funding sources that would enable Victoria to expand her research institute operations while maintaining complete independence from any hospital administrative control or interference. This arrangement provided Victoria with enhanced resources for pursuing innovative research directions while protecting her from potential retaliation or professional sabotage related to her divorce proceedings. The collaborative framework also included Elena's commitment to providing strategic guidance and professional mentorship that would help Victoria navigate complex institutional relationships and funding opportunities within the broader medical research community. Elena's extensive network of professional contacts and her reputation for ethical leadership provided Victoria with access to opportunities that would have required years of individual relationship development to achieve independently. Victoria's response to Elena's alliance proposal demonstrated the strategic thinking and relationship assessment capabilities that her crisis management experience had developed and refined. Rather than accepting the collaboration offer immediately based on emotional gratitude or financial attraction, Victoria conducted systematic evaluation of Elena's motivations, track record, and alignment with her own professional objectives and ethical standards. The evaluation process included research into Elena's professional background, consultation with mutual colleagues about her reputation and leadership style, and careful analysis of the proposed collaboration structure to ensure appropriate protection of Victoria's intellectual property and decision-making autonomy. This thorough assessment approach reflected Victoria's enhanced confidence in her own judgment and strategic planning abilities. Victoria's investigation revealed that Elena possessed an exceptional reputation for ethical conduct, collaborative leadership, and commitment to advancing women's professional development within the medical research community. Elena's track record included numerous successful mentoring relationships and research partnerships that had produced significant advancement for all participants, while maintaining appropriate professional boundaries and mutual respect. The collaboration agreement that Victoria and Elena ultimately developed represented sophisticated strategic planning that addressed both immediate research objectives and long-term career development goals for both women. The partnership structure included specific provisions for intellectual property protection, decision-making authority distribution, and resource allocation that ensured equitable benefit sharing while maintaining each partner's individual professional autonomy. Elena's institutional knowledge and administrative experience proved invaluable in helping Victoria understand complex regulatory requirements and funding opportunities that could significantly accelerate her research timeline and expand her competitive positioning within the regenerative medicine field. Elena's guidance enabled Victoria to avoid common pitfalls and bureaucratic delays that frequently impede research advancement and commercialization efforts. The mentorship component of their alliance provided Victoria with access to leadership development opportunities and strategic thinking frameworks that extended far beyond scientific research to include comprehensive business planning, organizational management, and professional network development that would support her expanding ambitions and entrepreneurial objectives. Elena's support during Victoria's divorce proceedings proved equally valuable, providing emotional encouragement and practical guidance about maintaining professional effectiveness during personal crisis situations. Elena's own experience navigating complex professional challenges while managing personal relationship difficulties enabled her to offer realistic perspective and proven strategies for compartmentalization and stress management. The alliance also provided Victoria with enhanced credibility and institutional support that strengthened her negotiating position in divorce settlement discussions and protected her from potential professional retaliation or reputation damage that Richard might attempt to inflict through his hospital administrative connections and professional network influence. Elena's willingness to serve as character witness and professional reference during Victoria's legal proceedings demonstrated the depth of respect and confidence that their collaboration had generated within a relatively short time frame. This support proved crucial for maintaining Victoria's professional standing and competitive positioning during the vulnerable transition period following her marriage dissolution. The research collaboration between Victoria and Elena produced immediate results that exceeded their initial expectations and demonstrated the multiplicative effects of strategic partnership between complementary expertise areas. Their combined capabilities enabled them to pursue research directions and funding opportunities that neither could have achieved independently, creating competitive advantages that rapidly attracted attention from major pharmaceutical companies and research institutions. The success of their collaboration provided validation for Victoria's strategic approach to alliance development and demonstrated her capability for building productive professional relationships based on mutual respect and shared objectives, rather than dependency or emotional neediness that might compromise her negotiating position or decision-making autonomy. Elena's influence within the medical research community opened doors for Victoria to present her work at prestigious conferences and participate in high-level policy discussions about regenerative medicine applications and regulatory framework development. These opportunities enhanced Victoria's professional visibility and established her as a thought leader in her field, rather than simply a skilled researcher working in isolation. The alliance also provided Victoria with valuable insights about leadership development and organizational management that prepared her for expanded professional responsibilities and entrepreneurial ventures that would emerge as her research institute continued growing and attracting additional resources and collaborative opportunities. Elena's mentorship included guidance about balancing professional advancement with personal fulfillment that helped Victoria develop comprehensive life planning strategies extending beyond career success to include authentic relationship development and personal interest cultivation that had been neglected during her marriage period. The unexpected alliance with Elena demonstrated to Victoria that meaningful professional relationships could develop based on mutual respect and shared objectives without requiring emotional intimacy or personal vulnerability that she had learned to avoid during her marriage difficulties. This recognition enabled her to begin expanding her professional network with confidence and strategic purpose. The collaboration success also revealed that Victoria possessed natural leadership qualities and relationship-building capabilities that could be applied effectively to complex partnership negotiations and organizational development challenges requiring sophisticated interpersonal skills and strategic communication abilities. As Victoria's alliance with Elena continued developing and producing significant professional advancement opportunities, she began recognizing that the support and mentorship she was receiving represented far more than temporary assistance during a difficult transition period. The partnership was establishing foundation for long-term success and fulfillment that exceeded anything she had previously considered possible within her professional trajectory. The relationship with Elena provided Victoria with a model for authentic professional collaboration, based on mutual respect and shared values, rather than the competitive dynamics and emotional distance that had characterized her marriage relationship. This contrast enabled Victoria to understand more clearly what she valued in personal relationships and what standards she would maintain for future relationship development. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's transformation from crisis management to comprehensive strategic advancement entered a pivotal phase, as her alliance with Dr. Elena Rodriguez enabled systematic development of ambitious long-term objectives that transcended immediate recovery from personal betrayal to encompass visionary professional expansion and authentic personal fulfillment. The collaborative framework that Victoria and Elena established provided foundation for strategic planning processes that would fundamentally reshape Victoria's career trajectory and life satisfaction over the subsequent months and years. The strategic development process began with comprehensive assessment of Victoria's enhanced capabilities and expanded resources that had emerged through her systematic crisis management and strategic alliance building. The combination of her individual research expertise, Elena's institutional knowledge and network access, and their collaborative research achievements created unprecedented opportunity for advancement that required sophisticated planning to maximize potential impact and sustainable growth. Victoria's approach to strategic planning reflected the analytical rigor and systematic methodology that characterized her scientific research, while incorporating strategic thinking frameworks and business development principles that Elena's mentorship had introduced and refined. The planning process addressed both immediate operational considerations and long-term visionary objectives that would guide decision-making and resource allocation throughout the implementation phases. The initial phase of strategic assessment revealed that Victoria's Research Institute possessed significantly greater commercial potential and market positioning advantages than she had previously recognized or developed. Her innovative approaches to regenerative medicine applications had attracted attention from pharmaceutical companies and medical device manufacturers seeking collaborative partnerships for technology development and clinical application advancement. Elena's institutional perspective and industry knowledge enabled Victoria to understand complex market dynamics and competitive positioning factors that influenced the commercial value of her research achievements and intellectual property portfolio. This enhanced understanding provided foundation for developing monetization strategies and partnership negotiations that could substantially increase her financial independence and professional autonomy. The strategic planning process also identified opportunities for expanding Victoria's Research Institute operations through additional facility development, staff expansion, and equipment acquisition that would enable pursuit of larger-scale research projects and more ambitious commercial partnerships. These expansion possibilities required careful financial planning and operational management capabilities that extended beyond Victoria's previous experience and expertise. Elena's guidance proved invaluable in developing comprehensive business plans that addressed funding requirements, operational scaling strategies, and management structure development necessary for sustainable organizational growth. The business planning process incorporated risk assessment and contingency planning methodologies that protected against potential setbacks while maintaining aggressive growth targets and competitive positioning objectives. The collaboration between Victoria and Elena had produced research results that demonstrated clear commercial applications and significant market potential within the regenerative medicine sector. Their combined expertise enabled them to identify specific therapeutic applications and treatment protocols that could be developed into proprietary technologies with substantial licensing and partnership revenue potential. The intellectual property portfolio that emerged from their collaboration required sophisticated legal strategy development to ensure appropriate protection and commercialization approaches that maximized long-term value while maintaining competitive advantages through strategic disclosure timing and patent application coordination. Victoria's legal team expanded to include intellectual property specialists and business transaction attorneys who provided expertise in technology licensing and commercial partnership negotiations. Victoria's strategic planning process extended beyond research institute development to include comprehensive personal life planning that addressed relationship development, lifestyle enhancement, and authentic interest cultivation that had been neglected during her marriage period. The forced independence resulting from her divorce provided opportunities for personal exploration and authentic self-expression that required conscious planning and systematic implementation. The personal development component of Victoria's strategic planning included travel experiences, recreational activities, and social engagement opportunities that would enable her to explore interests and develop relationships outside her professional environment. These personal enrichment activities were integrated into her overall life plan as essential components of sustainable success and authentic fulfillment rather than peripheral luxuries to be pursued after professional objectives were achieved. Elena's mentorship included guidance about maintaining work-life integration and personal relationship development that prevented the isolation and emotional disconnection that had characterized Victoria's marriage period. This guidance emphasized the importance of conscious attention to personal needs and authentic relationship building as foundation for sustained professional effectiveness and personal satisfaction. The strategic planning process also addressed Victoria's long-term financial objectives and wealth accumulation strategies that would provide security and independence, while enabling philanthropic activities and social impact initiatives that aligned with her values and professional mission. The financial planning incorporated investment diversification and risk management approaches that protected against market volatility and economic uncertainty. Victoria's expanded professional network and enhanced reputation enabled her to explore consulting opportunities and advisory positions that would provide additional revenue streams while expanding her influence within the medical research community. These opportunities required careful evaluation to ensure alignment with her primary research objectives while providing valuable professional development and relationship-building benefits. The strategic development process revealed that Victoria possessed natural entrepreneurial capabilities and business development instincts that could be applied successfully to technology, commercialization, and organizational expansion challenges. Her systematic approach to research and analysis translated effectively to market assessment and competitive positioning strategies that supported sophisticated business planning and implementation. Elena's introduction of Victoria to venture capital investors and pharmaceutical industry executives provided access to funding sources and partnership opportunities that could accelerate her research institute development while maintaining her decision-making autonomy and intellectual property control. These relationships required careful cultivation and strategic management to ensure mutually beneficial outcomes without compromising Victoria's long-term objectives. The collaboration's success with Elena demonstrated Victoria's capability for building and managing strategic partnerships that created multiplicative value for all participants while maintaining appropriate professional boundaries and ethical standards. This partnership model provided framework for additional collaborative relationships that could further enhance her competitive positioning and resource access. Victoria's strategic planning incorporated geographic expansion possibilities that could extend her research institute operations to additional markets, while leveraging regional research infrastructure and talent pools that offered competitive advantages for specific research directions and commercial applications. The expansion planning required comprehensive market analysis and operational feasibility assessment that demonstrated Victoria's growing sophistication in business strategy development. The technology transfer opportunities emerging from Victoria's research achievements required strategic timing and partnership selection that maximized commercial value while ensuring appropriate application of her innovations for patient benefit and social impact. The commercialization strategy balanced profit maximization with ethical considerations about healthcare accessibility and social responsibility. Victoria's enhanced professional reputation and expanded network access enabled her to participate in policy development discussions and regulatory framework planning that could influence the broader regenerative medicine field while advancing her own research objectives and commercial interests. These leadership opportunities required sophisticated understanding of political dynamics and stakeholder management that extended her influence beyond direct research activities. The strategic planning process also addressed succession planning and organizational sustainability considerations that would protect Victoria's Research Institute legacy, while enabling continued growth and innovation after her eventual retirement or transition to other activities. The sustainability planning incorporated talent development and knowledge transfer strategies that ensured institutional continuity and competitive positioning. Elena's mentorship provided Victoria with exposure to international research collaboration opportunities and global market development possibilities that could significantly expand her research impact and commercial potential. The international expansion planning required understanding of regulatory frameworks and cultural considerations that influenced research protocols and commercialization strategies across different markets. Victoria's personal transformation throughout the strategic planning process demonstrated remarkable growth in confidence and strategic thinking capabilities that enabled her to pursue ambitious objectives that had previously seemed beyond her reach or consideration. The systematic approach to planning and implementation provided structure for managing complex initiatives while maintaining focus on priority objectives and value creation. The strategic development process revealed that Victoria's crisis management experience had developed leadership qualities and decision-making capabilities that could be applied successfully to organizational expansion and team management challenges requiring sophisticated interpersonal skills and strategic communication abilities. These capabilities positioned her for expanded leadership roles within the broader medical research community. Victoria's comprehensive strategic planning established foundation for extraordinary professional advancement and personal fulfillment that would enable her to achieve impact and satisfaction levels that exceeded her most optimistic expectations about post-divorce possibilities. The systematic approach to opportunity development and resource utilization provided confidence and direction for pursuing transformational objectives with realistic timelines and measurable milestones. The alliance with Elena continued providing valuable guidance and collaborative opportunities that enhanced Victoria's strategic implementation capabilities while maintaining the mutual respect and shared values that characterized their partnership. The relationship model demonstrated how authentic professional collaboration could support individual advancement while creating shared value and lasting professional relationships. As Victoria completed the comprehensive strategic planning process, she recognized that the apparent catastrophe of Richard's betrayal had actually catalyzed development of capabilities and opportunities that would enable her to achieve levels of success and fulfillment that had been impossible within the constraints of her previous life structure. The strategic foundation she had established would guide her implementation efforts throughout the challenging but exciting phases of transformation that lay ahead. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's transition from strategic planning to active implementation marked a decisive transformation in her approach to professional advancement and personal empowerment. The comprehensive plans she had developed with Dr. Elena Rodriguez's guidance required systematic execution that would test both her leadership capabilities and her commitment to the ambitious objectives she had established during the strategic development phase. The implementation process revealed new dimensions of Victoria's character and capabilities, while providing tangible evidence of her remarkable evolution from isolated researcher to visionary leader. The initial implementation phase began with expansion of the Ashworth Medical Research Institute facilities to accommodate the increased research activities and commercial partnerships that Victoria's strategic planning had identified as essential for achieving her long-term objectives. The facility expansion represented a significant financial investment and operational complexity that required sophisticated project management and vendor coordination, extending far beyond Victoria's previous experience in organizational development. Victoria's approach to managing the expansion project demonstrated the systematic methodology and attention to detail that characterized her scientific research, while incorporating business management principles and leadership techniques that Elena's mentorship had introduced. The project required coordination of architectural design, construction management, equipment procurement, and regulatory compliance across multiple jurisdictions and professional specialties. The expansion planning process revealed that Victoria possessed natural project management capabilities and vendor relationship skills that enabled her to navigate complex procurement negotiations and construction coordination challenges effectively. Her ability to maintain quality standards while managing budget constraints and timeline pressures demonstrated practical business acumen that complemented her research expertise and strategic thinking abilities. The facility expansion included state-of-the-art laboratory equipment and specialized research infrastructure that would enable Victoria to pursue more sophisticated research projects and attract top-tier scientific talent to her organization. The equipment procurement process required technical evaluation capabilities and vendor assessment skills that demonstrated Victoria's comprehensive understanding of research methodology requirements and commercial considerations. Victoria's staff recruitment and organizational development efforts during the expansion phase provided opportunities for demonstrating leadership skills and team-building capabilities that had remained largely untested during her previous focus on individual research activities. The recruitment process required sophisticated evaluation of technical competencies and cultural fit considerations that would determine the long-term success of her expanding organization. The new research team members Victoria recruited possessed diverse expertise areas and professional backgrounds that enhanced the Institute's collective capabilities, while requiring management approaches and communication strategies that accommodated different working styles and professional development needs. Victoria's ability to integrate these diverse talents into cohesive research teams demonstrated exceptional leadership development and organizational management skills. Elena's ongoing mentorship proved invaluable during the implementation phase by providing guidance about organizational development challenges and leadership techniques that enabled Victoria to avoid common pitfalls and accelerate team performance development. The mentorship relationship continued evolving to address increasingly sophisticated management challenges and strategic decision-making requirements. The commercial partnership negotiations that Victoria initiated during this implementation phase required business development skills and legal strategy coordination that extended significantly beyond her previous professional experience. The partnership discussions involved complex intellectual property licensing arrangements and revenue-sharing agreements that required sophisticated legal expertise and strategic planning capabilities. Victoria's approach to partnership negotiations demonstrated remarkable learning agility and strategic thinking development that enabled her to protect her interests while creating mutually beneficial arrangements with pharmaceutical companies and medical device manufacturers. Her ability to balance competitive positioning with collaborative relationship building reflected sophisticated understanding of complex business dynamics. The research projects that Victoria launched during the implementation phase incorporated the expanded capabilities and resources that her strategic planning had anticipated, while addressing specific market opportunities and clinical needs that offered significant commercial potential. The project management required coordination of multiple research teams and external collaborators across complex timelines and deliverable requirements. The early results from Victoria's expanded research activities exceeded her initial expectations and validated the strategic assumptions underlying her ambitious expansion plans. The research outcomes attracted attention from additional pharmaceutical companies and venture capital investors who recognized the commercial potential and competitive advantages that Victoria's organization had developed. Victoria's enhanced professional visibility and reputation during the implementation phase created opportunities for speaking engagements and advisory positions that expanded her influence within the medical research community, while providing additional revenue streams and relationship development opportunities. These professional activities required communication skills and thought leadership capabilities that demonstrated her evolution into a recognized authority in regenerative medicine. The personal development activities that Victoria incorporated into her implementation planning provided essential balance and authentic fulfillment that prevented the isolation and emotional disconnection that had characterized her marriage period. These activities included travel experiences, recreational pursuits, and social engagement opportunities that enriched her life satisfaction while supporting her professional effectiveness. Victoria's approach to personal relationship development during this phase reflected the insights about authentic communication and mutual respect that her alliance with Elena had demonstrated. She began expanding her social circle to include relationships based on shared interests and values, rather than professional networking objectives or social status considerations. The financial management requirements of Victoria's expansion activities necessitated sophisticated investment planning and cash flow management that demonstrated her growing business acumen and strategic financial thinking. The financial planning process incorporated risk management strategies and contingency planning that protected against potential setbacks while maintaining aggressive growth objectives. Victoria's investment portfolio diversification and wealth accumulation strategies reflected long-term thinking and financial independence objectives that would provide security and flexibility for pursuing philanthropic activities and social impact initiatives aligned with her values. The financial planning demonstrated her commitment to sustainable success rather than short-term profit maximization. The intellectual property protection and commercialization activities that Victoria managed during this implementation phase required coordination with specialized legal counsel and business development professionals who provided expertise in technology transfer and licensing negotiations. These activities demonstrated Victoria's growing sophistication in protecting and monetizing her research innovations. The regulatory compliance and quality assurance requirements associated with Victoria's expanded research activities necessitated development of sophisticated operational procedures and documentation systems that demonstrated her commitment to ethical research practices and patient safety considerations. These systems provided foundation for future commercial partnerships and clinical application development. Victoria's participation in industry conferences and professional development activities during the implementation phase enhanced her thought leadership positioning while providing opportunities for relationship building and collaborative partnership development. These activities required presentation skills and strategic communication capabilities that demonstrated her evolution into a recognized expert and influential voice. The team performance and organizational culture development that Victoria achieved during the implementation phase created competitive advantages and employee satisfaction levels that supported talent retention and productivity enhancement. Her leadership approach emphasized collaborative decision-making and professional development support that attracted high-performing researchers and technical specialists. Victoria's crisis management and problem-solving capabilities were tested during the implementation phase through various operational challenges and unexpected complications that required adaptive flexibility and decisive action. Her ability to maintain project momentum while addressing complex problems demonstrated resilience and leadership maturity that exceeded her previous experience and capabilities. The market response to Victoria's expanded research activities and enhanced organizational capabilities validated her strategic planning assumptions while creating additional opportunities for partnership development and commercial expansion. The positive market reception provided confidence and momentum for pursuing even more ambitious objectives in subsequent implementation phases. Victoria's personal transformation throughout the implementation phase reflected remarkable growth in confidence and strategic thinking capabilities that enabled her to pursue leadership opportunities and professional challenges that had previously seemed beyond her reach. The systematic approach to capability development and opportunity creation provided structure for managing complex initiatives while maintaining focus on priority objectives. The implementation experience demonstrated that Victoria possessed natural entrepreneurial instincts and business development capabilities that could be applied successfully to technology commercialization and organizational scaling challenges. Her ability to translate research expertise into business strategy and operational excellence positioned her for continued advancement and industry leadership. Victoria's relationship with Elena continued providing valuable guidance and collaborative opportunities that enhanced her implementation effectiveness, while maintaining the mutual respect and shared values that characterized their partnership. The relationship demonstrated how authentic professional mentorship could accelerate capability development and strategic advancement. The progress Victoria achieved during the first implementation phase exceeded her initial expectations and provided tangible evidence of her remarkable transformation from isolated researcher managing personal crisis to visionary leader building innovative organization with significant market impact. The implementation success validated her strategic planning approach while building momentum for continued advancement. As Victoria completed the initial implementation phase, she recognized that the systematic approach to opportunity development and capability building had created foundation for extraordinary professional achievement and personal fulfillment that transcended her most optimistic expectations about post-divorce possibilities. The implementation experience provided confidence and strategic framework for pursuing even more ambitious objectives in subsequent phases of her transformation journey. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's transformation from successful researcher to visionary organization leader entered its most demanding phase, as the extraordinary growth of her research institute created complex challenges that tested her leadership capabilities and strategic thinking in ways that exceeded even her ambitious expectations. The rapid expansion that had validated her strategic planning and implementation skills now demanded entirely new levels of organizational management, sophistication, and operational excellence that would determine whether her remarkable progress could be sustained and scaled effectively. The scaling challenges emerged as Victoria's Research Institute attracted attention from major pharmaceutical companies and venture capital firms, seeking to establish strategic partnerships and investment relationships that recognized the significant commercial potential of her innovative regenerative medicine technologies. These opportunities represented validation of her strategic vision while simultaneously creating pressure for rapid organizational development that exceeded her current operational capacity and management infrastructure. The most immediate scaling challenge involved talent acquisition and retention in an increasingly competitive market for qualified research scientists and technical specialists. Victoria's initial success in recruiting exceptional team members had established a strong foundation. But the expanded research portfolio and commercial partnership requirements demanded additional expertise areas and leadership capabilities that required sophisticated recruitment strategies and compensation planning. Victoria discovered that managing a rapidly growing organization required fundamentally different leadership approaches than those that had enabled her initial expansion success. The informal communication structures and collaborative decision-making processes that had worked effectively with a smaller team became inadequate for coordinating complex research projects across multiple departments and external partnership relationships. The organizational complexity required development of formal management hierarchies and operational procedures that maintained efficiency and quality standards, while preserving the innovative culture and collaborative relationships that had attracted top talent and enabled breakthrough research achievements. Victoria recognized that preserving organizational culture during rapid growth represented one of the most critical challenges facing expanding technology companies. Elena Rodriguez's mentorship proved invaluable during this challenging transition period by providing guidance about organizational development strategies and leadership techniques that had proven effective in similar scaling situations. Elena's experience with hospital administration and medical research management provided relevant frameworks for addressing complex operational challenges, while maintaining focus on primary research objectives and commercial development goals. The financial management requirements of rapid organizational scaling necessitated sophisticated capital planning and cash flow management that extended beyond Victoria's previous experience in research budgeting and grant administration. The expanding operations required substantial working capital investment while generating revenue streams that could support continued growth without compromising research quality or competitive positioning. Victoria's approach to addressing these financial challenges demonstrated remarkable learning agility and strategic thinking development that enabled her to secure venture capital investment while maintaining operational control and intellectual property ownership. The investment negotiations required sophisticated understanding of equity structures and governance arrangements that protected her long-term interests while providing necessary growth capital. The venture capital partnership that Victoria ultimately established provided not only financial resources, but also strategic guidance and industry connections that accelerated her market development and commercial partnership opportunities. The investor relationships required ongoing management and communication that demonstrated Victoria's evolving capabilities in stakeholder relationship development and strategic reporting. The commercial partnership negotiations that accompanied Victoria's scaling efforts required increasingly sophisticated legal expertise and business development capabilities, as pharmaceutical companies proposed complex licensing arrangements and joint venture structures that could significantly impact her organization's future direction and competitive positioning. Victoria's approach to managing these complex partnership discussions demonstrated exceptional strategic thinking and negotiation skills that enabled her to secure favorable terms while maintaining control over key intellectual property assets and research direction decisions. The partnership agreements created substantial revenue potential while preserving her organization's independence and innovative culture. The operational challenges associated with managing multiple research projects across diverse therapeutic areas required development of project management systems and quality assurance procedures that ensured consistent excellence while accommodating different research methodologies and timeline requirements. These systems needed to support both internal research activities and external collaboration requirements. Victoria's implementation of sophisticated project management technologies and operational procedures demonstrated her commitment to maintaining research excellence during rapid organizational expansion. The systems provided transparency and accountability that supported both internal team coordination and external partner collaboration, while protecting intellectual property and ensuring regulatory compliance. The regulatory compliance requirements for Victoria's expanding research activities became significantly more complex as her organization pursued clinical development pathways and commercial applications that required coordination with multiple regulatory agencies and international standards organizations. These requirements necessitated specialized expertise and dedicated compliance management resources. Victoria's approach to regulatory strategy development reflected her scientific training and systematic methodology, while incorporating business considerations and strategic timing factors that influenced product development priorities and market entry strategies. The regulatory planning demonstrated her growing sophistication in translating research innovations into commercially viable therapeutic applications. The competitive pressures that accompanied Victoria's market success required enhanced intellectual property protection strategies and competitive intelligence capabilities that enabled her to maintain technological advantages while anticipating market developments and potential competitor responses. These activities demanded strategic thinking and market analysis skills that extended beyond traditional research expertise. Victoria's intellectual property portfolio management became increasingly sophisticated as her research achievements generated patentable innovations across multiple therapeutic applications and technology platforms. The patent strategy required coordination with specialized legal counsel and strategic planning that balanced immediate commercial opportunities with long-term competitive positioning objectives. The team leadership challenges that emerged during the scaling phase required Victoria to develop advanced communication skills and conflict resolution capabilities as diverse research teams encountered coordination difficulties and competing priority demands. The leadership requirements extended beyond technical expertise to include emotional intelligence and interpersonal effectiveness. Victoria's evolution as an organizational leader demonstrated remarkable personal growth and capability development that enabled her to inspire team performance while maintaining collaborative culture and professional development opportunities for all team members. Her leadership approach emphasized empowerment and strategic alignment that supported both individual advancement and collective achievement. The market positioning challenges associated with rapid growth required sophisticated brand development and strategic communication capabilities that established Victoria's organization as a thought leader and innovation authority within the regenerative medicine field. The positioning strategy needed to support both commercial partnership development and talent acquisition objectives. Victoria's thought leadership development included strategic participation in industry conferences and professional publications that enhanced her personal reputation while building market awareness of her organization's capabilities and innovations. These activities required sophisticated communication skills and strategic messaging that supported multiple business development objectives simultaneously. The operational efficiency challenges that accompanied organizational scaling required implementation of advanced technology systems and process optimization methodologies that maintained productivity and quality standards, while accommodating increased complexity and volume demands. These improvements needed to support both current operations and future growth requirements. Victoria's approach to operational excellence demonstrated her commitment to systematic improvement and evidence-based management that applied scientific methodology to business operations and organizational development challenges. The systematic approach provided foundation for sustained competitive advantages and scalable growth capabilities. The risk management requirements for Victoria's expanding operations became increasingly sophisticated, as organizational growth created exposure to operational, financial, and strategic risks that required comprehensive assessment and mitigation planning. The risk management framework needed to protect against potential setbacks while supporting continued innovation and growth objectives. Victoria's risk management strategy development reflected her analytical training and strategic thinking capabilities, while incorporating business insurance and legal protection measures that provided appropriate coverage for operational activities and intellectual property assets. The comprehensive approach provided security foundation for continued expansion and investment attraction. The cultural preservation challenges associated with rapid organizational growth required conscious attention to maintaining the collaborative relationships and innovative environment that had enabled Victoria's initial success. The cultural management required leadership techniques and communication strategies that supported team cohesion during periods of significant change and expansion. Victoria's approach to culture management demonstrated her understanding that organizational success required more than technical excellence and strategic planning. The sustainable competitive advantages emerged from team engagement and collaborative innovation that could only be maintained through conscious leadership attention and authentic relationship development. The international expansion opportunities that emerged from Victoria's success required sophisticated market analysis and regulatory planning that extended her strategic thinking to global considerations and cross-cultural relationship development. These opportunities represented significant growth potential while creating additional complexity and resource requirements. Victoria's international strategy development incorporated market research and partnership evaluation that identified optimal entry strategies for expanding her research and commercial activities into international markets with favorable regulatory environments and strong commercial potential. The international planning demonstrated her evolving capabilities in global business development and strategic market analysis. As Victoria navigated the complex challenges associated with rapid organizational scaling, she recognized that her remarkable transformation from isolated researcher to visionary leader had prepared her for pursuing opportunities and managing challenges that exceeded her most ambitious initial expectations. The scaling experience provided additional validation of her strategic capabilities, while building confidence for even more aggressive expansion objectives in subsequent phases of her development journey. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's remarkable transformation from betrayed spouse to visionary leader faced its most severe test when an unexpected crisis threatened to destroy everything she had built during her extraordinary recovery and expansion journey. The setback emerged from a source that Victoria had not anticipated and carried implications that extended far beyond immediate operational challenges to threaten the fundamental viability of her research institute and her personal financial security. The crisis began with the sudden withdrawal of a major pharmaceutical partnership that represented approximately 40% of Victoria's current revenue and had been projected to provide substantial funding for the next phase of her research expansion. BioCore Pharmaceuticals, one of the largest companies in the regenerative medicine sector, terminated their collaboration agreement citing strategic realignment and budget reallocation decisions that prioritized internal research development over external partnerships. The partnership termination notice arrived without warning during what had appeared to be a period of successful collaboration and mutual satisfaction with research progress. Victoria had received consistently positive feedback from BioCore's scientific team regarding the quality and commercial potential of the research outcomes that her institute had delivered throughout their 18-month collaboration period. The abrupt nature of BioCore's decision suggested underlying factors beyond the strategic considerations cited in their termination notice. Victoria's investigation into the circumstances surrounding the partnership cancellation revealed disturbing information about potential interference and deliberate sabotage that traced back to her divorce proceedings and Richard's ongoing resentment about her professional success and independence. Dr. Marcus Thompson, BioCore's chief scientific officer and the primary liaison for their partnership with Victoria's Institute, had maintained a professional relationship with Richard through medical conference interactions and collaborative research activities that predated Victoria's partnership with BioCore. The relationship between Thompson and Richard had provided Richard with access to information about Victoria's commercial activities and partnership arrangements. Victoria discovered through legal investigation that Richard had conducted a systematic campaign to undermine her professional reputation and business relationships by sharing confidential information about their divorce proceedings and making unsubstantiated allegations about her personal stability and professional judgment. The campaign had been carefully orchestrated to appear as concerned collegial communication rather than deliberate sabotage. The revelation that Richard had weaponized their personal conflict to damage her professional relationships and financial security represented a profound betrayal that exceeded even his original affair and abandonment. The systematic nature of his interference demonstrated calculated malice and complete disregard for her well-being and professional achievements that had been built through years of dedicated effort and scientific excellence. The immediate financial impact of losing the BioCore partnership created severe cash flow challenges that threatened Victoria's ability to maintain her current research team and operational commitments. The revenue shortfall required urgent cost reduction measures and alternative funding strategies that could prevent organizational collapse while preserving her most critical research projects and intellectual property assets. Victoria's response to this devastating setback demonstrated the resilience and strategic thinking capabilities that her transformation journey had developed. Rather than allowing panic or emotional reaction to drive her decision-making, she implemented systematic crisis management procedures that prioritized essential operations, while developing comprehensive recovery strategies that addressed both immediate survival requirements and long-term competitive positioning. The crisis management process began with honest assessment of her organization's financial position and operational requirements that enabled Victoria to identify which activities could be temporarily suspended or reduced without compromising her core research capabilities or intellectual property development. The assessment required difficult decisions about staff retention and project prioritization that tested her leadership resolve and strategic judgment. Victoria's approach to team communication during the crisis reflected her commitment to transparency and collaborative problem-solving that had characterized her leadership style throughout the organizational development process. Rather than concealing the severity of the situation or making unilateral decisions about cost reductions, she engaged her research team in strategic planning discussions that identified creative solutions and cost-saving opportunities. The team response to Victoria's crisis leadership demonstrated the strength of the organizational culture and employee loyalty that she had cultivated during the expansion phase. Rather than seeking alternative employment opportunities in response to financial uncertainty, her key researchers and technical staff committed to temporary salary reductions and increased workload sharing that enabled the organization to maintain critical research activities. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's support during this crisis period proved invaluable in providing both emotional encouragement and practical guidance about crisis management strategies that could preserve Victoria's long-term competitive position while addressing immediate survival requirements. Elena's experience with hospital administration and budget management provided relevant frameworks for managing financial constraints without compromising essential capabilities. The legal response to Richard's interference required sophisticated litigation strategy that could establish accountability for his deliberate sabotage while pursuing financial recovery for the damages his actions had caused to Victoria's business relationships and professional reputation. The legal proceedings demanded substantial resources and emotional energy during an already challenging period. Victoria's legal team developed a comprehensive case that documented Richard's systematic campaign of professional sabotage through communication records and witness testimony that established clear evidence of deliberate interference with her business relationships. The case included claims for tortious interference and defamation that could provide both financial recovery and legal prohibition against future interference attempts. The crisis also revealed additional challenges related to the competitive landscape and market dynamics that Victoria had not fully anticipated during her strategic planning process. The regenerative medicine sector had become increasingly crowded with well-funded competitors pursuing similar therapeutic applications and technology development pathways that intensified competition for partnerships and funding opportunities. Victoria's analysis of competitive positioning during the crisis period identified strategic differentiation opportunities that could enhance her market position, while reducing dependence on large pharmaceutical partnerships that carried inherent vulnerability to policy changes and strategic realignment decisions. The analysis revealed opportunities for direct clinical development and specialized therapeutic applications that offered greater independence and control. The funding diversification strategy that Victoria developed in response to the crisis included venture capital relationships, government research grants, and foundation partnerships that could provide more stable and strategic funding sources than corporate partnerships subject to policy changes and competitive pressures. The diversification approach required sophisticated investor relations and grant writing capabilities that extended her business development skills. Victoria's approach to rebuilding revenue streams demonstrated remarkable creativity and strategic thinking that identified opportunities for technology licensing and intellectual property monetization that had not been fully developed during the expansion phase. The licensing strategy provided immediate revenue generation while preserving long-term development and commercialization opportunities. The crisis period also provided opportunities for operational efficiency improvements and cost optimization strategies that enhanced Victoria's competitive positioning while reducing financial vulnerability to external revenue fluctuations. The efficiency improvements included technology upgrades and process optimization that increased productivity while reducing operational overhead requirements. Victoria's personal resilience during this challenging period demonstrated the emotional strength and strategic perspective that her transformation journey had developed. Rather than viewing the setback as evidence of failure or inadequate planning, she recognized it as an inevitable aspect of entrepreneurial development that provided valuable learning opportunities and competitive advantages for organizations that successfully navigate crisis situations. The crisis management experience revealed additional leadership capabilities and problem-solving skills that Victoria had not previously tested under extreme pressure. Her ability to maintain team morale and strategic focus while managing complex legal proceedings and financial constraints demonstrated exceptional leadership maturity and crisis management competence. The recovery strategy that Victoria implemented included accelerated development of proprietary therapeutic applications that could provide greater independence from partnership dependencies, while establishing stronger competitive differentiation and intellectual property protection. The strategy required intensive research focus and resource allocation that tested her team's capabilities and commitment. Victoria's communication strategy during the crisis period included proactive relationship management with existing partners and stakeholders that preserved confidence and support, while demonstrating transparency and accountability that strengthened long-term relationship foundations. The communication approach prevented additional partnership losses while building credibility for future collaboration opportunities. The market response to Victoria's crisis management and recovery strategies provided validation for her leadership capabilities and strategic vision that attracted attention from investors and potential partners who recognized her resilience and competence under adverse conditions. The positive response created new opportunities that partially offset the losses from Richard's sabotage efforts. The personal growth that Victoria experienced during this crisis period included enhanced confidence in her ability to manage complex challenges and uncertainty, while maintaining strategic focus and team leadership effectiveness. The experience provided proof of her transformation, completeness, and readiness for even greater leadership responsibilities and entrepreneurial challenges. Victoria's recognition that the crisis had actually strengthened her organization and competitive positioning, while revealing hidden capabilities and strategic opportunities, demonstrated the transformational power of adversity when approached with systematic analysis and strategic response, rather than emotional reaction or defensive positioning. As Victoria emerged from this major setback with enhanced capabilities and stronger strategic positioning, she understood that Richard's attempt to destroy her professional success had inadvertently catalyzed additional growth and development that positioned her for even greater achievements than had been possible before the crisis intervention and recovery process. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's response to the devastating setback orchestrated by Richard's professional sabotage marked a defining moment in her transformation from successful researcher to extraordinary business leader. The comprehensive comeback strategy she developed demonstrated strategic sophistication that transformed apparent disaster into unprecedented opportunity for market differentiation and competitive advancement. Her systematic approach to crisis recovery revealed leadership capabilities that exceeded even her own understanding of her potential under extreme pressure. The comeback strategy began with Victoria's recognition that Richard's interference had inadvertently provided her with valuable intelligence about industry dynamics and competitive vulnerabilities that could be leveraged for strategic advantage. His ability to influence BioCore's decision-making revealed the informal relationship networks and communication channels that shaped pharmaceutical industry partnerships and could be systematically mapped and navigated for competitive positioning. Victoria's analysis of the BioCore partnership termination identified specific patterns in pharmaceutical industry decision-making that suggested opportunities for developing alternative partnership structures and revenue models that would provide greater stability and independence from the personality-driven relationship dynamics that had enabled Richard's sabotage efforts. The analysis revealed systemic weaknesses in traditional pharmaceutical licensing arrangements that innovative companies could address through creative partnership design. The strategic framework Victoria developed for her comeback incorporated lessons learned from the crisis about diversification requirements and relationship management strategies that would prevent similar vulnerabilities in future business development activities. The framework emphasized building multiple revenue streams and partnership relationships that collectively provided greater security than dependence on individual large-scale agreements that carried concentrated risk exposure. Elena Rodriguez's guidance during the comeback planning process proved instrumental in helping Victoria understand institutional relationship dynamics and communication strategies that could rebuild confidence among potential partners, while demonstrating the resilience and strategic thinking capabilities that distinguished her organization from competitors facing similar challenges. Elena's experience with complex stakeholder management provided valuable frameworks for relationship repair and enhancement. The first phase of Victoria's comeback strategy focused on accelerated development of proprietary therapeutic applications that could be brought to market through direct clinical development pathways rather than pharmaceutical partnership arrangements. This approach required substantial resource allocation and regulatory expertise, but offered greater control over commercialization timelines and revenue distribution, while reducing dependence on external partnership relationships. Victoria's decision to pursue direct clinical development represented a significant strategic pivot that required capabilities and resources beyond her previous experience, but aligned with her long-term vision for organizational independence and market leadership. The clinical development pathway demanded sophisticated regulatory planning and operational management that would test her team's collective capabilities and commitment to ambitious objectives. The clinical development strategy incorporated innovative trial design methodologies and patient recruitment approaches that could accelerate regulatory approval timelines while maintaining rigorous safety and efficacy standards. Victoria's scientific background enabled her to develop research protocols that balanced regulatory requirements with operational efficiency considerations that enhanced competitive positioning and commercial viability. The funding strategy for Victoria's clinical development initiative included creative venture capital arrangements and strategic investor relationships that provided necessary capital while maintaining her operational control and intellectual property ownership. The funding negotiations demonstrated her growing sophistication in investment relationship management and equity structure optimization that protected long-term value creation potential. Victoria's approach to venture capital relationship development reflected strategic thinking about investor selection and partnership alignment that prioritized value-added support beyond financial contribution. Her investor evaluation process assessed strategic guidance capabilities, industry network access, and operational expertise that could enhance her organization's competitive advantages and accelerate commercial development activities. The investor presentation materials that Victoria developed for the Comeback Funding Initiative demonstrated remarkable communication skills and strategic positioning capabilities that effectively conveyed her organization's competitive advantages and market opportunities, despite the recent setback. The presentations emphasized her leadership capabilities and recovery strategy effectiveness that distinguished her organization from typical early-stage companies seeking venture capital support. The intellectual property strategy that Victoria implemented during the comeback phase included accelerated patent development and strategic licensing arrangements that monetized her research innovations while building defensive patent portfolios that protected against competitive threats and provided additional revenue generation opportunities. The intellectual property approach balanced immediate financial requirements with long-term competitive positioning objectives. Victoria's patent portfolio development incorporated sophisticated competitive analysis and market intelligence that identified optimal patent filing strategies and defensive positioning approaches that enhanced her organization's value proposition for potential partners and investors. The patent strategy demonstrated her understanding of intellectual property as both protective mechanism and commercial asset that required active management and strategic development. The technology transfer opportunities that emerged from Victoria's intellectual property development enabled her to generate immediate revenue streams while preserving control over core therapeutic applications that represented her organization's primary competitive advantages. The licensing arrangements provided validation for her research innovations while building industry relationships that could support future partnership development activities. Victoria's market positioning strategy during the comeback phase emphasized thought leadership development and industry visibility enhancement that rebuilt confidence in her organization's capabilities while demonstrating the innovation advantages and competitive differentiation that distinguished her research from conventional pharmaceutical development approaches. The positioning strategy included strategic conference participation and publication activities that enhanced her professional reputation. The competitive differentiation strategy that Victoria developed incorporated unique therapeutic applications and treatment protocols that addressed unmet medical needs in specialized patient populations that large pharmaceutical companies had not prioritized for development. The specialization approach provided market opportunities with reduced competitive pressure, while enabling premium pricing and strategic partnership arrangements. Victoria's team development activities during the comeback phase included strategic recruitment of specialized expertise in clinical development and regulatory affairs that enhanced her organization's capabilities for managing complex therapeutic development projects independently. The team expansion demonstrated her commitment to building comprehensive internal capabilities that reduced dependence on external service providers and partnership arrangements. The organizational culture enhancement that Victoria implemented during the comeback period strengthened team cohesion and performance effectiveness, while building resilience and adaptability that would support sustained growth and competitive advancement. Her leadership approach emphasized collaborative problem-solving and shared accountability that engaged team members in strategic development activities and enhanced collective commitment to ambitious objectives. Victoria's communication strategy with existing partners and stakeholders during the comeback phase maintained transparency about challenges, while demonstrating confidence and strategic vision that preserved relationship foundations and created opportunities for enhanced collaboration. The communication approach balanced honest assessment of difficulties with optimistic projection of recovery and growth potential that inspired continued support and partnership interest. The operational efficiency improvements that Victoria implemented during the comeback phase included technology upgrades and process optimization that enhanced productivity and competitive positioning while reducing cost structures and improving financial performance. The efficiency enhancements provided immediate operational benefits while building foundation for scalable growth and enhanced profitability. Victoria's risk management framework development during the comeback phase incorporated comprehensive assessment and mitigation strategies that addressed financial, operational, and strategic risks that could threaten future growth and competitive positioning. The risk management approach provided systematic protection against potential setbacks while maintaining aggressive growth objectives and innovation initiatives. The market research and competitive intelligence capabilities that Victoria developed during the comeback phase provided ongoing monitoring of industry developments and competitive activities that enabled proactive strategy adjustment and opportunity identification. The intelligence gathering demonstrated her commitment to evidence-based strategic planning and adaptive management that responded effectively to changing market conditions. Victoria's relationship with Elena continued providing valuable strategic guidance and emotional support that enhanced her comeback planning effectiveness, while maintaining the collaborative partnership that had proven instrumental throughout her transformation journey. The relationship demonstrated how authentic professional mentorship could provide sustained value and mutual benefit during challenging periods and strategic transitions. The legal strategy that Victoria implemented for addressing Richard's sabotage included comprehensive documentation and pursuit of financial recovery that established accountability for his interference, while deterring future disruption attempts. The legal proceedings provided both practical protection and symbolic demonstration of her commitment to defending her professional achievements and business interests against malicious interference. Victoria's personal development during the comeback phase included enhanced confidence and strategic thinking capabilities that enabled her to pursue increasingly ambitious objectives while maintaining balance and perspective that supported sustained effectiveness and personal satisfaction. The personal growth reflected her recognition that professional success required authentic leadership development and strategic vision that transcended immediate crisis management and tactical response. The comeback strategy implementation demonstrated Victoria's evolution into an exceptional business leader capable of transforming adversity into competitive advantage through systematic analysis, strategic planning, and decisive action that created value for all stakeholders, while building sustainable competitive positioning and market leadership within the regenerative medicine sector. As Victoria completed the initial phase of her comeback strategy implementation, she recognized that Richard's attempt to destroy her professional success had actually catalyzed the development of capabilities and strategic positioning that enabled her to achieve market leadership and competitive advantages that would have been impossible without the crisis experience and recovery process that had tested and validated her exceptional leadership potential. Dr. Victoria Ashworth's extraordinary journey from betrayed spouse to industry leader reached its most compelling climax when an unexpected revelation about her former husband's circumstances provided the ultimate validation of her strategic transformation and the profound irony that often characterizes life's most dramatic reversals. The timing of this revelation coincided precisely with Victoria's achievement of unprecedented professional success and personal fulfillment that exceeded even her most ambitious expectations about recovery and advancement. The unexpected twist began 18 months after Victoria's successful comeback strategy implementation, when her research institute had achieved recognition as one of the most innovative organizations in regenerative medicine, and her personal reputation had been established as a visionary leader who had transformed crisis into extraordinary opportunity. Her clinical development programs were approaching regulatory approval milestones that would generate substantial revenue streams and market leadership positioning within specialized therapeutic applications. The revelation arrived through Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who maintained extensive connections throughout the medical community and had inadvertently encountered information about Richard's professional and personal circumstances that painted a dramatically different picture than the successful department chief position he had maintained during their divorce proceedings. Elena's information revealed that Richard's life had deteriorated significantly following his marriage dissolution and the consequences of his interference with Victoria's business relationships. The information that Elena shared revealed that Jessica Martinez, the young research assistant for whom Richard had abandoned his marriage, had herself become involved in a relationship with Dr. Michael Chen, Richard's former best friend and longtime professional collaborator. The relationship between Jessica and Michael had developed during the previous 6 months, while Richard was traveling extensively for conferences and administrative responsibilities that kept him away from Portland for extended periods. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.